But first, today, the bulk of the mainstream media proved Nicole Flint right. They showed that an ugly double standard exists when it comes to the mistreatment of conservative women. If a Labor MP was driven out of public life by the sort of demented, sexist abuse Nicole Flint has copped, she'd be on the front page of every paper today. If a Labor MP had used her final speech in Parliament to call out the men of the left who pretend to be feminist allies but who heap abuse on conservative women, well, they'd be leading every news item as well across the nation. If the media wants to know why there aren't more conservative women putting up their hand to enter politics, then they should look at their own conduct. Compare the manner in which they support and celebrate women of the left, particularly those who claim victimhood. Compare that to how conservative women are treated, how the abuse they cop is ignored or even sometimes rationalised. Nicole Flint stood up and called out the sickening sexist abuse she's copped from the left, and that took courage.
Men on the left, some of whom are public figures of influence, have done the following. They've stalked me, suggested I should be strangled, criticised the clothes I wear and the way I look, called me a whiny little repeatedly called me weak, a slut, a and apologised for the language, and much, much worse. They've commented that I should be raped, grudge that I am doing sexual favours for all my male colleagues, that I should be killed, that I should kill myself, and many, many more things that I will not repeat.
Labor and the left in general must hold their own to the same standard they demand of their ideological opponents. They cannot preach, believe all women, talk about respect and equality, and then ignore the abuse conservative women routinely cop.
To the left, to get up Labor and the unions, the left-leaning media, you know exactly who you are. You need to finally show some leadership and put a stop to this sort of behaviour. If they don't, well, they're not really leaders then, are they?
It's not just conservative women who are relentlessly attacked. Even Labor women who call out mistreatment from their own side cop abuse and cop it without the sisterhood coming to their aid. Just look at the treatment of Labor MP Kushalia Vaghela, who accused Premier Dan Andrews of being a spiteful misogynist who only pretends to respect women. She also said that allies of the Premier, including some in his office, have tried to destroy her. They wanted to break me mentally, physically and psychologically, she said. But has Anthony Albanese been asked about these claims and Labor's toxic culture? Has the media pursued him the way they pursue the Prime Minister when an accusation of ill treatment is made against the Liberal Party machinery? Of course not. And the media hasn't pursued Albo over Nicole Flint's mistreatment either. Last night on Paul Murray Live, Nicole called on Albo to do more than just virtue signal about the treatment of women.
What I want to know is, where is Anthony Albanese? Because I can tell you where he is missing in action. He's not here for all women, so all of these attacks that they've launched on the PM are so disingenuous, and he has today really been exposed for the liar that he is, because he stood up in front of the press gallery just outside the corridor where I am right now, Paul, in your studio, and told the press gallery and the Australian people he would stand up for women where he saw them being abused with sexist, misogynist attacks. And he hasn't done that.
And well, Albo finally decides to do something meaningful about this issue. He can take a minute to counsel the Victorian Labor Party against gaslighting and victim blaming. That's what they did to a woman who complained about being bullied. What they did to Kushalia Vaghela is absolutely unforgivable. What we've seen in the past week has been frankly despicable. Sadly, when it comes to the left, they're very selective about who they consider a victim worthy of support and who they consider a nuisance to be ignored or worse, intimidated into silence.